Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this week's reflection. When you listen to it, it will be Wednesday, the 19th of June, halfway through the month already, and soon it will be the longest day. However, this morning I want to give you my thoughts on the trials and tribulations of grass cutting. It's not easy to believe, but that little green plant in your back garden is the world's most important crop. And that's not just from an agricultural point of view, but from an economic and ecological one too. It is estimated that about 20% of the world's vegetation is grass. Grass has several functions. We can't digest it, and yet it is one of the most important resources for our food production. Animals eat grass, and many of us eat animal products such as meat, eggs and milk. And furthermore, we also use grass in other ways. For sport, recreation, and to brighten up gardens and open spaces. This plant also has important ecological functions. It protects against soil erosion, it absorbs water, it purifies the air we breathe, and so on. But, so to my grass cutting experience. Some of you may have watched Bob's recent reflection, and I can tell you that he is not reliant on crutches or stick anymore. But when he was, it led me to grass cutting. Because of the weather in April and May, well, that's my excuse, the garden had not been foremost in my thoughts. But suddenly the grass began to look like a bit of a jungle. It had grown to at least 9 inches. As Bob was unable to work in the garden, there was nothing for it but for me to take on the task of cutting the grass. And this was a new experience for me. Well, I can't remember if I have ever cut the grass before. But anyway, we have a fairly big back garden, mostly grass, and it's on a slope. And also a decent sized space with grass at the front of the house. But I wouldn't call either of these a lawn. So, first things, get the gloves on and then locate the mower. I did know it was kept in the shed, but I had to remove a few other gardening implements before I could free it. So far, so good. Next, it's an electric mower, so where to plug it in? Bob to the rescue. The mower was plugged in the second shed, so I was ready to start. Well, no, I didn't know how to switch it on. Again, Bob to the rescue. Firstly, pull up the handle, push a button, and then pull the levers on the handles together and keep holding them like that, and I was ready to go. Well, not quite. One last instruction. On the way up the garden, I had to make sure the cable was on the right, and on the way down, keep it on the left. And I was off, trying to keep my Wimbledon lines straight. But because the grass was so long, I had to empty the grass container often, or the grass that had been cut came shooting out the back of the mower if it was too full. I'm not going to pretend it was easy. It was tiring, and it took quite some time. I reckon I must have walked miles. Well, that's maybe a slight exaggeration. So the main part was cut, but there remained 2 smaller sections to be cut. So after a wee drink and a sit down, I was ready to tackle the other 2 smaller patches. And after another wee rest, it was on to the front grass. Again, I'm not referring to a lawn. Of course, I had to carry the mower to the front garden, but I couldn't work out how to fold the handle down to carry it comfortably. So again, Bob to the rescue. You push the 2 handles together, and with a wee push it lies flat. Of course, I had to find out where the power came from in the front garden. Eventually the front grass was cut, and I thought, that's it finished. But no, the edges had still to be cut, and they were left for another day. I'm not quite sure if the edges have been done yet. but I was really quite proud of what I had achieved. But I still wasn't finished. The mower had to be cleaned before it was put back in the shed, which I dutifully completed. So I learned a new skill without electrocuting myself. I have read, I'm not sure if I quite believe it, the joy of mowing is a blend of sensory experiences, physical rewards, and mental relaxation. In cutting grass, you're not just tending to your lawn, but also to a sense of accomplishment, well-being, and simplicity. I just found it really hard work, although I still like looking at the mown grass from the kitchen window. But did you know that mowing the grass with any type of push mower counts toward the 150 minutes of moderate physical activity, or 75 minutes vigorous physical activity you're supposed to accrue each week? According to statistics, about 93.6% of American men mow the lawn, so that leaves 6.4% of American women who cut the grass. But I couldn't find statistics for Britain, but I imagine it's about the same. So well done to all the men and women who cut their grass or other people's grass across the country. There are some rules to look at before mowing, but I saw them after cutting. Find out when and how to mow, which type of mower to choose, and how to adapt your mowing routine to suit your style of lawn, from close-cut turf to longer flower-rich grass that supports a wild variety of wildlife. Well, here's a short poem I found which could easily have applied to me, and it's by a lady called Connie Webb, and it's called Mowing the Lawn. When I was a young girl, there were guy jobs and gal jobs. I never mowned a lawn, never felt that satisfaction of that kind of a job well done. Now I am 48. I mow my own lawn, and when I am done, I sit down and admire it, saying to myself, "Look, you did it," knowing I could have done it this years ago when my back was stronger than it is today, but I still am happy. I can take pleasure sipping on ice-cold lemonade, looking at how I didn't even miss a spot. After mowing the lawn, even if I have to take some ibuprofen tonight, I still have the joy of knowing I mowed the lawn, and that makes me feel good. Some of you may be familiar with the phrase, "The grass is always greener on the other side." But the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but it is always greener when you choose to water it. Take care of your own grass. Someone said, the wisdom of this saying is that we are wise not to focus on finding greener pasture somewhere else, but instead to nurture and grow the vitality of the relationships we already have. And don't let the grass grow under your feet. Do something. So, bye just now, everybody, but I am not taking on grass cutting jobs. See you soon.